I'm Sav, and this is
Kieran.
And we are here to battle mental health through the lens of nerddom. So, how have you been?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been about a week, 2 weeks since we've seen each other, obviously, but it's been pretty good. I've had my birthday last week.
Yeah, so that was a really fun evening.
It was a really fun evening, wasn't it? Yeah, did you have you came out with me, didn't you? So
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Crazy how that goes.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Loads of people turned up. It was great. I had a lot of fun. How about yourself? How has been your week?
Yeah, it's been good. Always find it a bit difficult this time of year, just seasonal depression and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a lot better than it has been in previous years, so good. I'm taking that as an up.
Oh yeah. Also, almost payday. So.
Oh my fucking god! Thank the Dark Lords, Cthulhu, and all those Elder God beings. I need some fucking money.
Praise Nurgle.
Praise be to Nurgle.
Praise be to Nurgle.
So, what have you been doing? Nerdiness, what? Yeah. That thing.
Yeah,
games.
What have we been doing to nerd out, you mean?
Yeah.
Still playing my dinosaur games.
Nice.
Playing a little bit of League, playing a little bit of Dota. Because, wasn't one lane of toxicity wasn't enough, apparently.
You need multiple lanes.
Multiple lanes, mid, top, and now I need a third one, apparently. MOBAs for life. And
not just for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, just fucking up MOBAs. But
I was about
that's my thing.
Yeah, I was.
Apart from Smite's alright.
I was going to talk about this this anime that I found as well. Well, it's not really. Yeah, it's an anime. It's not Japanese though. It's Western.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's sort of the same kind of umbrella.
Exactly.
These days.
It's underneath DC Comics, so it's not the Suicide Squad. It's the something Commandos.
Oh, Creature Commandos.
Yeah,
fucking great.
I literally binge watched that in one day. 7 episodes.
Great. Also, super depressing. Some episodes.
Yeah, some of those. Yeah, some of them are. You're just they've gone through so much. They're trying to humanise, this random skeleton.
I love Dr. Phosphorus. He is
Dr. Phosphorus is so good, isn't he? He's such a dark horse, but considering how he's he's got such a beautiful backstory.
I know.
Such a beautiful backstory. Oh mate. I knew you had watched it probably. I was watching it and I'm like, Sav's definitely seen this.
It's DC. It's also something to do with the new awesome DCU that James Gunn's doing. So you hear a little bit of stuff about Peacemaker and the newest Suicide Squad film. So
I saw
that was awesome.
I saw James Gunn had done it and I was like,
James Gunn is the man.
Yeah.
He's going to actually make the DCU actually good.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Craziness. No Scott Snyder in sight.
You feeling okay? This episode's about PTSD, but you look very triggered.
It's fine. God. Fuck that Justice League film.
It wasn't that bad. I kind of liked it.
Well, also that made it. It also meant that horrific Flash film exists that I still will never watch because it's one of my favorite DC heroes, and just no.
Okay, what the actor? What
the actor is terrible as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
But they should have just used Grant Gustin from the Flash TV series.
Yeah, he's
CW.
a fantastic Flash.
Absolutely amazing.
He's a
Barry
fantastic
Allen.
Flash. Yeah,
but I digress.
What have you been nerding at?
Well, I completed Indiana Jones. That was amazing.
Nice.
Ridiculously good. Machine Games really know how to make a horrible, hateable, Nazi villain. It's just their whole thing. Because they did the new Wolfenstein games as well. And it's just fun, just punching fascists. And finding buried treasures and stuff across the world.
It's such cathartic violence, isn't it? You're just really some fascist guns.
As well as that, continuing my Marvel Rivals addiction. they just released a weird seasonal event for Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Which is essentially Rocket League in Rivals, which is really weird.
I thought it would be like, like the 5 rings and everything, but like...
it's super, super strange, but it's pretty fun. And then I've just properly started getting into God of War Ragnarok, which is amazing. It's really, really, really good.
I feel like I have played that game because I've seen so many clips of it. Like, it's one of them ones, same with Wolfenstein as well. Like, I've played the original, but I've not played any of the new ones. Like,
definitely do it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I knew it was going to be a great game.
Yeah,
but I've got a wooden box with like a hamster in it for a PC. So it's the same with Marvel Rivals, right? I'd love to play this with you.
Yeah,
but I'd literally I turn on my baby and everything. It's just. And that just really is.
Jet engine boots up.
yeah, exactly. But don't overheat, please.
Oh God.
Please, PC gods, don't overheat. Like, I need an upgrade soon.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
I'd say one of the reasons why I'm a console gamer, but then I spend a buckload of money as soon as a new one comes out.
Yeah, so I've seen your Steam account. No, you can't say this.
Yeah, also my Steam account has a lot on it as well.
Yeah, it does.
I've got I've got 1,300 and something games on my Xbox, and I've got 300 and something on PlayStation, and then I've got 1,000 something on Steam.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not hurting for games.
I know, yeah, exactly.
Just so much on the back catalogue that I'm never ever going to get to.
It's I found there's all over the internet. If it's the same analogy, women with shoes and men with computer games. The women will be like, I've got nothing to wear, or you know that meme. Like, don't get me wrong, it's very sexist, but still, on both sides of the fence. There's. It's literally I've got nothing to play, and you're like, I haven't played half of these games, and
I never will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ooh, shiny. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, serotonin. Put in the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got 3-4 games now with Marvel Rivals that I'm going to be playing when I get an upgrade from my PC.
Yeah,
but. There's so many in the background, I will never play.
It's so true. There's so many. I've been trying to touch some of them, and then I'm just like, but I've got this that I really want to play, so go away.
Exactly, yeah. And you've not got the ability to just give them to charity because they're on your Steam account. So you can't be this could go to a good home instead. But no, you can't do it. It's on your Steam account.
I must hold on the games.
Yes, it's all mal.
On them. Right.
Anyway,
should we kick into the episode?
Today's episode. Yeah, let's do it.
Right. So this is going to be a pretty damn heavy episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
most of all for me, but
bear that in
also
mind.
all listeners, right? It's going to be a very heavy episode.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and keep it as because it's going to be about complex post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and also a little bit about abusive relationships and how to avoid them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be highly triggering for me as well. I'm going to try and get through it as concisely and as almost playfully as I can, just to kind of stop myself from, droning on or really triggering myself, or to make it as informative as possible.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Sav's here with me, right? He's going to be able to he's going to try and keep me on track. But if I screw up or anything, please, let us know. Or, just forgive me.
We are only human, and we are also not trained as professionals.
We are only human, yeah, exactly. I'm going to do it from my point of view, and also from my research, and from my therapeutic processes that I've been through. First of all, I think I'm going to just kind of briefly go over my journey.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah?
Fine.
And then we can kind of start talking about CPTSD in general.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So, essentially, my journey has been quite a long one. I've had a lot of issues with, neglect and stuff inside my childhood. Really heavy bullying because I was, homeless as a young kid and I started to smell. And being like the weird one that smells and with the long hair doesn't really, doesn't really get you many friends when you're in high school.
Yeah.
Especially in a tiny little seaside town in the arse end of nowhere in Essex. So, there are so many people in Essex that I love to pieces, but it takes a lot of shit to make that many diamonds. Just put it that way.
Mm.
And yeah, like it was really just all round kind of pretty shit childhood with like flits of homelessness and like quite a bit of neglect and low income and all the rest of it. There was it kind of primed me to be to get into an abusive relationship where my ex was one of my best friends. He had a stalker and he was like trying to get rid of her, and he set me up with her in like a blind date. Love you, bro. Thank you very much, bro. You know who you are. I'm not going to call you out.
That's not toxic at all.
No, it's like he didn't really know. We were like 17 at the time, but he was like, oh, I just need to kind of get her like onto somebody else, and like Kieran's single. Like I think that's what his mindset was like.
That's still a horrible way of doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was
passing the buck should not be anything like that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's just one of them things. But I can laugh about it now.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
She had a terrible life, bless her. But essentially, after a few weeks, she was like, "Oh, I'm happy now. Let's come off my meds."
Mm-hmm.
And she was a paranoid schizophrenic who had a guy inside her head who wanted to kill me. And me having such a low self-esteem already, thought that I could help her as much as a human can do, and like I did it completely the wrong way by kind of letting her torture me for a year and a half. Well, half the time. Well, at the beginning it was kind of like letting her. It feels like, and then it creates a space where you've got no choice. And when she was waking me up with a knife up against my throat, she was doing a lot of like intermittently. Most of the time it was most mornings and most nights, and then there'll be like a week where it didn't happen, which is kind of worse. Or like it'll be a random day when it doesn't happen, and I'm like, okay.
You're kind of bracing yourself throughout that whole period of time.
Yeah,
it's like it's coming. When
and like
that's horrible.
There's a lot of other torture-y stuff that was not very nice. And I was like basically like kept inside my room. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody else. Like it was just a complete control of my whereabouts, physically, emotionally, and like just everything, right? Through threat of violence and all the rest of it. I got out of the relationship because I was homeless at the time, living in what was called necro housing, where like I basically had like a social worker who is for kids who are like underneath 18, like, but they've got no kind of elsewhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there was my social worker was like who kind of owned the houses in like necro, which is like a charity. They essentially like helped. Like she later became my auntie, by the way. Like the lady who was my social worker.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's another story. Like essentially, she was like, Kieran, like you, like my housemates, like were starting to like report that they hadn't seen me in a very long time. Sam was like staying with me at the time as well, and that, like I could hear screaming, and like Sam was very, very scary, and she was a big girl, like, and they felt like really threatened as well, and like really in danger. And then Becca was basically my social worker. She basically set up a situation where it was like, you need to come visit me in the office. I visited her in the office. I hadn't washed in weeks. Like, I was battered and bruised, and she took one look at me and was just like, Kieran, you're in an abusive relationship. You need to get the fuck out now. You've got no other choices. Like, you're getting out of there now. She's not coming back to the house. And you either get rid of her or I'm kicking the fuck out. And bless her. But yeah, she essentially, she set up where we went to the local Wimpy. And basically I had to break up with her in a public setting. And then I wasn't gonna have violence. With her waiting outside, and my dad was just around the corner, and they literally piled me into a taxi, took me around the corner, and like it was just it was a clinical situation. Like, bless her, I found out quite recently, comparatively, like in my late 20s, basically, that she just afterwards she committed suicide. So yeah, like. That really fucked me up. Sorry, I'm going to swear, but I'm going to swear a lot in this episode.
I'm not surprised that would.
Yeah, I held on to it for about a year or two. Didn't speak about it, and then I just went, and I just collapsed.
But it's that kind of thing. Like, even though that person has put you through so much and everything. Because they were such a big part of your life, for better or for worse, obviously. Even, like, hearing about that from someone, like, you've got horrific memories about can really affect you.
When I later found out about it, it really fucked me up again, all over again, and I was like, kind of kept it really quiet as well when I heard about it, and then I was like, then it kind of re-triggered me again, like, I found out about it after that relationship, for like 9 years, I just couldn't be with anyone. I was petrified of like any intimacy.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't have anyone like next to me, sleeping next to me, touching me in any kind of form, really. Like, I started to like hug like my dad and like my friends, just to kind of start to just get me used to touch again and stuff like that, because it was like still like it's my dad and my friends, you know what I mean, like just to start to feel a bit safe to like being able to like just hug somebody else.
Makes sense.
As almost like an exposure therapy. And I saw like a counsellor for about a year, then redid my like GCSEs and my A levels during these 9 years, right? I've redid my GCSEs and my A levels, took myself to university in like this weird manic state where I was petrified all the time, having flashbacks damn near every single second, and just using just sheer anxiety. And I started to learn about like to try and fix myself. Like, I was reading the wrong things, going around it completely like in almost an animalistic kind of way, right? I wasn't having any kind of direction. I was just reading any book that I could get on to try and help, right? Picked up a book, this little orange book of like neurolinguistic programming. Now, neurolinguistic programming is essentially changing your thought patterns and like taking control of your thought patterns. To then help to gain like motivation and like a few like loads of other things. And it's basically like putting a manic, really like, and like just a really scared, manic, like petrified, just like a caged animal, right? And then shoving a rocket up its ass and pointing it in a certain direction, right? Because it's used in most like in any business and all businesses. Whenever you read any kind of corporate BS about, you know, like how about smart goals? Smart goals is a neurolinguistic programming thing. There's quite a lot of other things that like will take it, but like if like neurolinguistic programming is like the base programming, and then like a whole bunch of HR stuff is kind of piled on top of it. And they'll rename things and they'll like adjust things, but it's all where it comes from. And and like that was completely the wrong thing for me. But I then was like, I failed I failed at uni because this weird manic missile doesn't really do very much other than just running around panicking.
Yeah.
And I should be kind to myself. I did some fantastic things during that time, but I felt like I had to do a lot of healing, and I did the best that I could.
Yeah.
Right? And I then sat there and, like, I failed at uni, came out of it, became extremely suicidal, started to thought of myself as so very, like, the most useless thing ever, complete fucking failure.
I completely get that.
And, like, my self-esteem was, like, until quite recently, like 3-4 years ago, right, I could sit there and go, I am worth nothing. I'm worth a piece of shit on somebody else's shoe, and I'm less than that. And I could say that with a complete straight face. Now it makes me cringe, but, like, in a good way. Like, but
no, I feel you,
and
like, I've definitely been there as well.
Yeah,
like,
and I started to jump in front of traffic. That anyone that was, like, speeding or anything else like that, I'd jump in front of the car. Got clipped and hit a couple of times, and then, like, and I'd, like, run off or walk off, and, like, and then people were just, like, really shocked about, like, what the fuck kind of this dude's, and then an ambulance would find me as I'm walking off or something like that, and and it was really, really dark time. I then, like, I was living in Exeter by this point, because after uni I, like, called up my brother going, like, how's the job market down in Exeter? And, like, I moved to the West Country then, but and then like, made some lovely friends as well. Like, I started because I was into a lot of, like, juggling and, like, fire breathing that I got into inside uni. I was like, there's my fire breathing friends, and I made some great friends there, and and then, like, I then got a job for, like, in BT, and then met my ex-wife, and I was in a really vulnerable place. Met my ex-wife, and then she was like, oh, look at this broken person, I'm going to make you into a fully functioning human being, and then use that to kind of manipulate me into the, like, her perfect husband. And, like, she was the one that kind of taught me how to eat
like
shit.
Some Stepford Wives
Yeah,
bullshit.
like, literally, she controlled how I breathed, how I walked, how I talked, like, who I talked to, my entire social media. She dominated every tiny little decision, and then would, like, use... anyway. I'm going to go into a little bit more about that later, with abusive relationships. Out of the two, I would much prefer the torture, like, than the ex-wife who was, controlled everything. And then, like, I escaped from her after gaining some self-esteem by working in the ambulance service. Gained some self-esteem, made some great friends in the ambulance service. Found out that I was in an abusive relationship because, like, the glass just shattered. Like, the one other thing as well, like, that's normal to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's strange, but it's normal to you. The glass,
you don't think anything is weird or anything like that.
No.
But if someone's looking into it, they're like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it was my normal. Like, I had certain inklings. Like, I'm pretty intelligent. Like, I had some certain inklings that something was wrong.
Yeah, there's always going to be those little inklings and stuff, but they're gone in an instant. They're like,
exactly. Or they're
just fading thoughts.
Yeah. And but I started to gain such self-esteem because I was able to help people, and if I could help people, then, like, I started to kind of invest a lot of my self-worth in that, which kind of gave me a bit of a saviour complex, but, you know, which isn't that healthy, but it was healthier. but they helped me to figure out, like, they helped me to, so there's like a peer support, like, counsellor or peer support, like, agent or peer support helper, really, where, like, somebody who does the same job as you, but, like, has kind of access to loads of resources and that kind of stuff will be like, you're having a really tough time at the moment, and they helped me to, like, I'm like, something's wrong, and then I kind of danced around the idea, and then I was like, I'm in an abusive relationship, and she was like, right, okay, can I talk about this, like, to, like, our manager, and, like, help me to speak to the Mankind Project, the Mankind Initiative, sorry. So the Mankind Initiative is one of, I found another one quite recently, just out of the, like, Googling and researching everything I wanted to talk about in this episode. But they used to be, at that time, one of the only men abusive relationship charities in Europe, right? But at that time, there was like one German one and one, like, I think a Canadian or American one, but it was very, very early days, right? Like, I'd had people tell me things like, why didn't you just knock her out? Or, like, why, like, people just, like, I'm like,
who the fuck's that gonna help?
Exactly, yeah. Like, that's gonna make me the abuser, or look like the abuser. And
pointless thing to say.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Stuff, I've had a lot of that.
God.
But like, and also, like, Darvo tactics. I'm going to go into a bit of that later as well. And yeah, so they set me up with everything, with, like, a safe house, an escape plan. I talked to, like, my manager, who then spoke to one of the chief constable. I think it was the chief constable, or just a constable that he knew personally from the Devon and Cornwall police force, and, like, that was on speed dial number 2. I had his mobile, I had my manager's mobile, I had an escape plan. I started to talk to my best friend Harry and my brother Simon, and like, so I had, like, support network who I went to work, and, like, then an hour of that work was me setting up plans and, like, speaking to the Mankind Initiative, and they did fantastic work for me. Like, I've sent all the love to, like, the Southwestern Ambulance Service, and so much love to, like, the Mankind Initiative.
Not to make light of this, but you've essentially sorted out your whole Ocean's 11 way of getting the fuck out of the
exactly, yeah. And they provided me with, like, the jump rope, like, the harness, like, the
rappel gear.
Yeah, exactly, like, I don't know if that was A-Team or it turned into Great Escape, but yeah, one of the two. Breach charges, everything. Like, and they were, like, I then spoke to Simon that he was my escape. Exactly, yeah. I need a montage. We were singing that song in our birthday, wasn't it? Yeah, so and, like, set it up, did everything else like that, got and escaped, right? They set me up with the safe house. She then started to follow me, and I could, like, see her, like, in my rear view mirror, and, like, she'd follow me to and from work, or she would be outside of the car park.
That's not fucking scary at all, is it?
It's fucking terrifying. Yeah, and because she wanted answers and, like, blah blah blah, and then like, as soon as I was out, I stopped all fucking contact. I just cut everything off. Like, I didn't care if she smeared my name everywhere and it all, like, anywhere, right? The truth will will out, right?
Yeah.
And whatever whatever. Like, so I then, and then, like, because she found I think that she found my safe house, I spoke to my mate Harry, who lived up in Bristol, and we set up a place, and, like, we moved up to Bristol. I had to give her my address once to, like, transfer the car into my name, and, like, for divorce proceedings and that kind of stuff. But and then, like, as soon as she found out the with the address. A day later, my car gets smashed in and then robbed, and so does Harry's. And I'm like, coincidence? Okay. I made the police report, but they couldn't prove anything. And I'm like, all right.
The mystery afoot. Not.
But yeah, I was in Bristol. In the middle of lockdown, I moved to Bristol. And
such an opportune time.
Literally, it was nice for exploring. Do you know what I mean? I was able to like walk around a lot, and like there was no one around.
Everyone's a ghost town.
Yeah, I thought this was a city. I thought this was supposed to be busy. Like, yeah, but I was still working for the ambulance service, but they transferred me from South Hub to North Hub, and then basically went from there. Like and as soon as like I escaped, and I had to go through a whole bunch of like grieving and that kind of stuff afterwards, and there was a lot of counselling and a lot of help through the Mankind Initiative, and I did like a course about identifying like abusive relationships, and like did a whole bunch just to help, and did a whole bunch of counselling through the Swan Project, and then where I got literally like somebody, she was just like, they looked at my notes and was like, rub-a-dub-dub, you have CPTSD. Like, I was really wanting like a diagnosis, and yeah, you definitely have it, but yeah, exactly, yeah. PTSD. Like there's and like I started to make friends. The first time I ever went out, I met you propping up the pub down at the Griffin, and like,
I don't know why I said you then.
You are.
Whatever.
And I started to rebuild my life from there. From like how long I wanted my hair, how long I wanted my beard, and making like all these micro decisions that were so important because they were bringing me back, right? And like I started to just crawl out of that. Like it was just like because when somebody's taking control of everything, like you're just coming out, like up is down and down is up, and you're not sure which direction to go, like, and you're questioning everything in like a really kind of good way, to be honest, because you're starting to make those decisions for the first time, or first time in a long time anyway. Some of them ever, but and then I started to just kind of carve out the life that I wanted, and trying to go through the divorce proceedings was a bit much to work for the ambulance service as well, because I was heavily triggered all over the place, and I started to ask for help, and I was like, this is too much for me right now. Took a bit of a breather, and then I've been having odd jobs ever since, but and then that's pretty much like present day, like that's how it kind of went from there. And that is my story, briefly, like, about how I have CPTSD and why, and that's generally my story. Yeah, so there's essentially, that's basically where I am right now. I started therapy with a clinical psychologist about 6-7 months ago now. Might be 7-8 months now, almost. Which has been like super effective.
Definitely good.
Absolutely super effective. Like electricity to water type. Do you know what I mean? Like, I use the Pokemon.
Everyone go to therapy.
Yeah. It really does help. Like, it's actually great.
This coming from me, who is not in therapy right now, but really needs to go to therapy. But hey, like,
the thing with therapy is that number one, right, you only get what you put into it, right? Two, if you've had it's always about the rapport that you build with your therapist, right?
Yeah.
Not
every therapist is going to be right for you.
I've had terrible therapists, right? And then bored therapists, and therapists that really don't give a shit, right? And
Also, why are you doing therapy if you don't give a shit?
I know, right? It's
why
weird.
are you being a therapist?
I know, right? Yeah. Like, I'm just there's something called empathy fatigue. I could go into it, but that's a whole nother episode.
That is
that
should definitely be an episode.
Yeah, like if they've got empathy fatigue, sometimes it's in the wrong place, wrong time, wrong type of person, wrong type of background. Like it's like any kind of relationship, right? Some people just aren't right for you, and you're not right for them,
that's true.
right? Keep trying, right? And always ask for a different therapist if it's not working out, right? Don't just quit or not go, right? Ask for another therapist. Please have your own back. Like,
please don't have a toxic relationship with your therapist. That's the worst idea in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and it's perfectly all right and almost expected as well that like two people randomly in the same room aren't going to get along like in that kind of space. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very strange relationship between you and your like a therapist. Do you know what I mean? It's like so your deepest confidant at the same time. Do you like and like kind of almost like a friend, kind of like that kind of place, isn't it? Like
because you have to have that level of empathy to be able to help in that regard.
Exactly. Like, yeah. Sometimes I've had healthy boundaries, and healthy relationships with therapists. I've had terrible relationships with my therapist. I've had this one dude who completely just projected onto me. Like, it was like, you've been through so much, Kieran, you must hate women. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, and like, it was kind of very much like, it was like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, first of all, get to know me, right?
Why would you just openly say that?
No, it was like, yeah, it was.
That's.
He didn't really openly say it.
Yeah, should they all be open questions? Not.
Yeah, no.
You do this.
No. It wasn't. It was. He didn't actually say it like that, right? I inferred it and he implied it, right? Okay. He started the therapeutic process to try and help me to not hate women. I'm like, but I don't hate women. That's But
I'll put the pitchfork away.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. Yeah, like. But yeah, like some of the therapy process that I'm going through right now is just fantastic. Shall we do like overviews of what CPTSD is, or like?
Yes. Let's do a overview.
So, CPTSD signs and symptoms. There are 15 major symptoms. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through them, how they affect me, and like how it kind of, manifests inside my own psyche, and then kind of go from there, right? So,
let's go.
There are flashbacks, right? So feelings like the traumatic event is happening again. For me, it's quite varied, right? So sometimes it will feel like I'm just about to be hit. Like that feeling of I'm just about to be hit, and like
bracing yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And I can feel the pain as well, which is kind of, if it hurts, if it's really intense. Sometimes it's just the fear. Sometimes it's just that kind of flinch. There's they can be quite. Traumatic, but they're kind of like low end of the spectrum for me.
Yeah.
Certain ones, Nathan, will be like me kind of like things replaying over and over and over again in my head. Like, it'll be like one scenario, and it will just like, and I'll be just staring off into space. You'll look at me and I'm just staring off into space, but I'm actually like reliving something over and over and again, and it's like it's almost like I'm trying to swim through it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to come back to where I am right now, or trying to process something. There'll be when it gets really, really, really intense, those flinches become like full blown. Like, sometimes it's feelings, right? Sometimes it's just the feelings of like shame, right? Of like existing, like I shouldn't be here, and like with absolute disdain of myself that I've felt from others. Sometimes it will be where I call them spaz attacks, right? Where essentially it's like that flinching, but it happens over and over and over and over and over and over and over again in quick succession. and it will look like I'm having a fit, where I'll tense up and I'll make noises, and it will look like I'm having a fit. And sometimes it will happen in and those ones will be like random memories that get stuck. Sometimes it will be like some infinitesimal things, like feelings of embarrassment, or sometimes when I've been embarrassed. Some of them and it will just happen over and over and over again. Sometimes it will just be like feelings of threat. Sometimes it will be feelings of just, I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, there's like shame, threat, and yeah, like I'll call them spaz attacks. I don't know the technical term for them. It's just what I call them.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it looks like I'm spazzing out. That's how, you can tell that language was from when I was a child. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that when they're really, really intense, that's what they're like for me. When they're really intense, sometimes it's just me staring off into space. Sometimes when they're really intense, they're like me just crying on the floor. And I kind of, those are like the three main symptoms of them. I'll range them into like intensity as well. Like level 1, I will feel those feelings, and they're kind of like farts, right? They're stinky, they mess up my day, and I just kind of waft them away, right? Like level 2 will be like it affects like half of the day. It'll affect it will affect sometimes several days or weeks in a row, right? Of that overwhelming sense of shame or like anger, or that's also another one. Sometimes it'll just be anger. Sometimes there'll be, it's really negative emotions, really, but and then there's like level 3, which is I am having a fit on the floor. I can't stop crying and I can't talk. Level 2 as well. If you haven't noticed, got a little bit of a stammer. But when it becomes level 2, I can't form sentences. Right? I can talk, but it takes me a long time. My stammer. I used to have a really bad stammer as a kid, and there was it. Yeah, it just gets really intense at level 2. Level 3, I can't physically get a word in, right? I can't make any words, and I'm just crying, right? And I'm like spazzing. I'm having all those like spaz attacks, and I'm laying on the floor and I can't get up, right? Last what time I had one, it is about 4 months ago, like 3 months ago, something like that. Like level 3, like in that level. Yeah. Level 3 is about 3-4 months ago. Level 2, I have like at least twice a week. Level 1, every single day, almost every single hour. Like they just happen, and I'm just like, and there's just most of the time I will just waft them away. And I'll just be like, there we go, that was quite stinky. But something that I've been learning is that when those flashbacks are happening, parts of my inner psyche are trying to present this to me as like trying to stop me from what PTSD and CPTSD is essentially is, after you have a fight, right? Mm-hmm. Or a violent episode or something like that, right?
Yes.
Your brain goes, I should have fucking done that. I should have done that, and I should have done that, right? And that is a very, very good, right, mechanism for your brain to keep yourself safe, right?
Yeah.
It's like you've been in danger, right? Mm-hmm. Or if a snake surprises you and like tries to lunge at you, but you've survived, right? You're like, I should have seen that snake, and like your brain reiterates that journey, right, to make sure that you kind of pick out the mistakes and learn, right? Now, what happens is when you're going through like multiple traumatic events all the fucking time, like when either like a lot of, if people are in like a war zone, right, or people are going through like physical and emotional abuse at home, or like inside places that are just around, like school and that kind of stuff as well, then it's like that, and then it just keeps doubling up and doubling up and doubling up, right? It comes over and over and over again until it starts to teach you that the world is not safe, right? And it starts to then create thought distortions, and where you can start to think about what kind of thought distortions you could have if you were tortured, or those kind of thought distortions that you might have after you've been bullied at school. Like, that's a really common one. People kind of when they get, like, unfortunately, it's a fucking common one, but that school isn't safe, right?
No, it's true.
Or
kids can be assholes.
Exactly, yeah. Honestly, like most kids are just like, my dear God. Memory issues as well. So that's another symptom. Having difficulty remembering details or experiencing memory relapses, right? Another part of that mechanism, like just after a fight, is that some of those memories are too much, right?
Yeah.
And your brain goes, this is too much for us right now. I'm going to hide this in a cupboard, right?
Yeah.
You can't see.
The fuse kind of blows and it blacks out.
Now, this is a completely natural response to keep you safe, right? Everyone gets this, right? This is the natural bit, right? It gets put into a cupboard, right? When that cupboard becomes too full, it starts, like, think of it like pieces of clothing, right? The memory goes, whoop, right? And there'll be a certain capacity of that internal cupboard, right, or wardrobe, right, where most people, they're perfectly fine, right? No issues, they can deal with it. PTSD and CPTSD. So PTSD is when that cupboard is spilling outwards and it's so full you're being collapsed in clothes, right? And all of those memories. CPTSD is when you've been covered in clothes for decades, right, or years, or long periods of time.
Yeah.
When your life is now clothes, right? And then it creates thought distortions, and because your world is completely different from everyone else's. Like, there's also emotional dysregulation, like feeling unable to control emotions, feeling very angry, distrustful, or hopeless.
I know that one.
Exactly. Like, a lot of people do. Like, these things are all parts of mental health as well, right?
Ticked off the bingo card.
Exactly, yeah. Very much like, if you've been covered in clothes for that amount of time, you can start to kind of understand what kind of things that you might be distrustful or hopeless about. Hypervigilance, feeling tense, on guard, or always alert. You're like, now I'm going to say this out loud, and nobody really notices this, right? But I don't think they do anyway. But like, I'm always very, very on hyper alert. Right? I check people's hands for things that are in them. I check exits. I check any new movement that's around me. And I'm doing this all the time, right? I'm quite good at masking it, I think. I hope. Or I don't hope, I'm not sure. But like, I'm pretty good at masking it, but it's kind of just normal to me, right? I will start doing calculations of like my exits, like how likely am I to be able to escape this? Like, if something happens
as well.
Exactly, I do that all the time. Like, I feel very uncomfortable when my back is towards the exit.
Never have a doorway behind you or anything like that.
Like, always have a wall, that kind of stuff, so I can keep having a look.
Corners and such.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you'll see that of me, and like when on my birthday, my
bed
back
always also in the corner.
Yeah, always. Yeah, my feet are always towards the door. Yeah. Like, otherwise I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just it feels wrong. Like, on my birthday, right? I sat with my back towards the door.
Yeah, you did.
And then within seconds, I moved and changed, and then put my back towards the wall, or I twisted my chair around so that my back would be against the wall, so that I could start to. Although you guys were all on my right hand side, like the left hand side was being open. You saw that, right? Yeah. Now I've said it afterwards. Sleep disturbances. These things can. You know that time, right? Just as you're about to go to sleep, right, and your brain will think about a random memory.
Oh, buddy.
I know. You're already getting
Oh.
Yeah. Now think about it like this. It's instead of just a random memory or a random traumatic period, it's all of your traumatic periods, or like really clusterfucks of traumatic periods that are makes you feel like they're happening right now, right? Keeping myself inside the present is something that I'm learning, where I'm having to remind myself I'm a 36-year-old man. My name is Kieran Barnes. I'm inside Bristol at the moment. I'm in my bed, or right now I'm inside like Sav's kitchen.
Yes.
And I sit there and remind myself of where I am, to then allow myself to start to my brain to not having to go, we're in danger, like all the time. And yeah, I wake up from nightmares all the time, and it's not just nightmares, it's feelings of physical pain. I've felt like I've been set on fire again before. I've felt knives up against my throat, all that kind of stuff as well. I've been like sleep paralyzed, where I feel like Sam's sitting on my chest again with a knife up against my throat, and I can't move. Like I've laid there for 6 fucking hours like that, and that was worst, because my brain knew that not even just thought, knew that was true, that she was sitting on my chest with a knife up against my throat, and also that I'm laying down in my bed in Bristol. And that happened the other fucking week, and I'm like, I was so harsh, it was bad. Disassociation, feeling disconnected from your body or emotions, or experiencing depersonalization or derealization. For most of my life, I've not known who I am. Because it was kind of told to me, right? And my boundaries are all over the place. Long periods of time when that's happened. Disassociation, when this is another one of those kind of, it's almost like the freeze response, right?
Yeah.
Where you just go numb, you freeze, and you kind of just stare off into blank space, where you go into your happy place, and so then the stuff that's around you isn't happening anymore. I'm a master at that. Physical symptoms, I've already told you a few of these, but there's like headaches, dizziness, chest pains, stomach aches, physical reactions when reminded of the trauma. I do flinch, I have screamed, I have done a few other things like that before. Taken me a long time to be able to be at a place when I can talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So much work has gone into making this episode. I like so much work. Okay, it's taken me decades of work, right? And like just these few months, so much effort has gone into just being able to say this, right?
Yeah.
For your guys' benefit and anyone else's, and kind of for my own benefit as well. Thanks, bro. With cortisol levels, right? So when your brain reacts to fear, right, and all these other like really bad things, right, it creates adrenaline, cortisol, right, all of these other like things where I've been like filled with adrenaline for like years at a time. It's a very expensive thing for your body, right? Or
that's not good for your body at all.
No,
that is
not for long periods of time.
That's a key way to kick straight into utter exhaustion.
Yeah, it is. So when I get to level 3, I essentially, a lot of the time, I have to what I call white knuckle it, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm laying on the ground, spazzing out, right? Especially if I'm alone, can't talk, can't move, right? And I white knuckle it, right? Now, my body can create adrenaline for about 6 hours. I've been at that place where I'm laying on the floor for 6 hours at a time. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Give me 2 secs. Still, no, don't stop. It's okay. Self-concept issues, which I've already kind of talked a bit about.
Yeah.
Having a distorted sense of self, low self-esteem, or feeling permanently damaged or worthless.
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of self-explanatory. You kind of feel like it's in interpersonal issues or difficulties. So having difficulty forming relationships or feeling like nobody can understand you. Now, I love my friends and my brothers, and like I'll put in a family. But there's with big something that I'll be talking about later, probably, or another episode. Mm-hmm. I make a lot of friends, right, who get me, right? Who have either gone through very similar things as myself, or are into the things that are very similar to myself. Like me and you were we're both metalheads, right? We're both into a lot of cool shit. Yep. We're both really fucking nerdy.
Hell yeah, we are.
I've made a lot of friends as well who deal with CPTSD.
It's like we have a gaming event.
I know it. Yeah. We literally took one look at each other in this pub. It was like, Lady and Red. And we started to swoon, slow danced, and
slow dancing in the griffin.
But yeah, we both were like, yeah, this is cool.
I was definitely awesome. Not that drunk.
No, you were you were halfway through your first pint, I think. But that came later. But it was that weekend. There was, but it was just a really, really I've several friends and everything who have gone through very similar things as myself. And the bond that there is, because it's like somebody's talking English, and everyone else is you can kind of only really half understand them. Having somebody who's gone through exactly the same things you have, and can talk on the same level as you can, is great. It's fantastic. You're like, oh my dear God, it's literally somebody speaking English. And you can only kind of half understand most other people. There's also certain feelings of that I'm the damaged one, and these are all a lot of people are just normal, and when you start to talk about some of the things I've been through, a lot of people are like, oh my dear God, and they react in such a normal way when I'm and it's perfectly okay for them to do so. Yeah. Sometimes it kind of reminds me it was a bad situation, but it was my normal. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of. Then kind of reinforces certain feelings of being damaged, right? Or that I'm different from other people. That is something that is something that I've had to work at. But I also start to remind myself, right, that anyone who's been through the same thing, exactly the same thing as I have, right, comes out like me. There's nothing crazy about CPTSD. It's exactly what your body's supposed to do, but it's just that you've gone through a lot. Yeah, right? Yeah. So it takes. I'll go into therapeutic processes in a bit, but let me just continue with this. Yep. All right. Yeah. So there's also avoidance, trying to avoid memories, thoughts, feelings, people, places, or situations related to the trauma. Think about it like you're in an Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden. There's spikes all over the place, right? And you're trying to avoid it, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's a lot of exposure therapy and that kind of stuff is almost like stabbing yourself with the little needles. So then phrasing, but the little spikes. So then you.
Why does no one use phrasing anymore?
Kind of start, because sometimes if I avoided everything that reminded me of the trauma, I would be a recluse. You kind of can't not.
That's literally the worst thing you can do.
Exactly, yeah.
So, me and only my memory for all time.
All time. Oh, exactly.
This is not a horrific idea or anything.
Yeah, which is, for me personally as well, I don't even like the term triggered. I think it's overused a bit. But I understand that it, certain words can hurt and that kind of stuff. Absolutely. But the avoidance is never the answer. Avoidance is it can help you in the short term, really can, like to try and help you if it's just happened or that kind of stuff. And those processes are really natural, right? Like I once, right, randomly got hit by a car when I was a kid, right? And it was hit the back of my bike, right? I flew off. I was a tiny kid, right? It was me and all my brothers and my dad, and I was like shaking, and it was just a lot, and it was really intense for a kid, right? And it took me a while to be able to cross that street ever again. And get it out, Seth. Get it out. You got have a look on your face like you just want to piss yourself laughing. It's fine. Go. Do you want to say something? He's like self-shushing himself, and I'm just like, go on, mate.
I was trying not to laugh.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. But I avoided that.
God, I sound like such an evil bastard.
It's fine. It's a dark and safe space.
That dark, nervous laughter.
Exactly. Yeah. But for ages, I couldn't cross that street again.
Anyway.
Right?
Really bad that you got hit by a car, by the way, just saying.
Not badly, not really. It just kind of scared the shit out of me, to be honest. And
bad you got shunted.
Yeah. And I did fly off my bike, but I kind of bounced and just was a lot of scrapes and stuff like that.
Don't say bounce.
But
I'm just picturing one of those weird old Flash games on you.
Like the penguin. Like the penguin,
yes,
yeah, exactly.
Fucking penguin game.
Yeah. I missed that game.
I knew that's what
I don't know why. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like skipping stone.
But I tried to avoid that street at any possible cost, right? And that was a very, very long street. And I was petrified of that street. I was for years, well, not even years, I think it was probably a few weeks, but my dad held my hand and made sure that we were looking left and right, and he helped me to cross the street over and over and over again. And it might look random, right, to other people, but he got me to, first of all, just stand there next to the street, take a big deep breath, and help me to kind of concentrate. And I was just shaking. He was like, "Look, we need to start thinking about coming to this street and actually concluding this." And then I crossed once, right, and I ran across, right. And he was like, "Fine, we can run across. That's absolutely fine." And then we turned around again, and we did it again, and again, and again, and again. I think we did it 10, 15 times. But we did it at the place that I got hit by a car.
Yeah.
And it's very much like with any avoidance, right? Avoidance is okay, right? Mm-hmm. It's perfectly natural to do so. Sometimes you need to be able to fucking cross that street.
Yeah, sometimes you need to face your fears.
Yeah. A lot of my avoidance with that is avoiding certain interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships.
It's like a gaming term. It's essentially giving yourself your own invisible walls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's I avoided romantic relationships because you can kind of understand why. Yeah. But sometimes it gets to a point, right, when sometimes you just need to fucking cross the street again, mm-hmm. and you gotta understand that it's safe to do so. And
I get that.
You kind of got to see the reality of the situation and be like, look, the shit you've gone through was terrible. You can keep yourself safe by looking left and right mm-hmm. before you cross the street. King of the road. My brain just did that for me. There we go. And yeah, and you can put you can set up those behaviours to try and help yourself to be able to cross that street all over
again. Safety fucking after school things running through my fucking head now. Thanks.
There's self-destructive behaviour. When I was younger, I was into a lot of drugs. By the age of 21, 22, I was no more drugs, right? Just kind of hit me, and I was straight laced right after mm-hmm. from then onwards until I moved to Bristol, and and then it's kind of some people are just bad influences, but they
are.
But instead of a self-destructive behaviour, it's more of an experiment. Do you know what I mean? I've not had any kind of substance misuse. It was just more kind of let's have a party. There's but when I was a kid, it was really, really self-destructive. It was wake and bake and trying to avoid the memories. Exactly, abuse, to try and run away from the pain, not to try and have fun. Like, it was very much a bad place.
We're definitely going to do a episode about addiction in the future.
Yeah, I think we will. Like, also certain behaviours, like, which I've done more recently, is stuff like I spent all of my money to have like a last meal, and then try to go commit suicide, stuff like that. Sorry, you guys, we warned you. I did that multiple times.
Yeah.
When like rent would be paid and everything else would be paid, but then I've got like 200 quid left for the month, right, to like, feed myself and that kind of stuff, and like have, do stuff. And I would then spend all of that money in one fell swoop, and then it's like my last meal. I buy a cigar, right, and then it'll be like, oh, let's have one little like last hurrah, and then I'll then take an overdose and go from there. Which is kind of drug abuse, but on a different kind of level.
Definitely on a different level.
Yeah, and then suicidal feelings as well. Having regular suicidal feelings. It's kind of the same thing with levels for me. Like level 1, which I have every single day, I'll have like a little blip, and it's like, and it's like a fart, right? It's unpleasant, and I'm just like, fuck off. And within a second, I'm already going, I can fuck right off that for. Like,
I love these fart analogies.
I love this fart analogy because it is. Right? It's a great analogy, right? People were like, oh, it's automatic negative thoughts, actually, or oh, it's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it's a brain fart, right?
Yeah.
It's your brain farting, right? Making an unpleasant smell all over the place. And sometimes you can just waft your hand, right? Sometimes you have to open up a window. Sometimes you have to open up the doors and all the fucking windows and run outside and take gulps of air. Do you know what I mean? Depending upon like if somebody's had
biological warfare.
Exactly, yeah. Like, and it's just like, and it's an absolute shitstorm. Literally. Those are 15 signs and symptoms. I know that it was 14, but I started to talk about substance use to avoid memories. That's also the 15th. And yeah, they're like the 15 signs and symptoms as me, myself, have kind of gone through them, right? I'm going to take a break. I don't know about you guys. I'm just going to pause this for a moment. We'll be back in just a few moments, all right?
Hey, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Let's carry on where we left off.
Yeah, we just hope you guys took a break as well. It was a bit like I just needed a bit of time just to take a bit of a breather. So next and everything I want to talk about like CPTSD recovery and like there's so many different therapies out there as well. So number 1, I would say to get a really good counsellor if you're on that kind of level. Counsellors and everything can be specialised in certain areas, right? There'll be like trauma ones, or there'll be like certain ones for like criminal behaviour. Like there's so many different specialities, from family trauma, family issues, like relationship counsellors. There's so many different ones. Make sure you know what your counsellor's specialisation is. That word had to come out a little bit. And yeah, get the right one for you. Okay. There's also several specific ones for PTSD that I found really, really helpful. So there's something called EMDR therapy, right? So EMDR is like an eye movement therapy that's really, really good for PTSD, and like I would say like specific, like stuck, just the specific stuck memories. Like I did, EMDR, by the way, is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Okay, it's a form of psychotherapy, essentially, where you either follow somebody's hand left and right, or like it might be like a dot or a line on a screen. Essentially, it's to move your eyes left and right, so then certain parts of your brain and everything are all parts of your brain, like your left and right, start to process these memories properly. Okay, now it sounds like witchcraft, right? I'm being a bit of a witchy pea myself. I kind of loved it, but it sounds so really simple. But I cannot tell you how it's the closest thing to a magic wand to like kind of go, and it's all gone, right? That I've ever found for PTSD. The thing is that it's done for very, very specific memories, right? And I found it extremely helpful, but it can't take away everything, right? You'll be sitting there and doing like EMDR therapy until the cows come home, you know? I sat there and I did 14 sessions with a lovely lady in Taunton. She, like, number one, right, you'll sit there in a room, right, and there'll be a specific memory, and you go over and over and over it again and again and again, and keep trying to recall that memory over and over and over again until it starts to not have an effect on you. Now, while you're looking at this line, just going left and right, and you'll do it for like a minute, stop, take a bit of a breath, and then do it again, right? Now, I found it very much like waterboarding myself, right? It's I know it's a visceral thought. That's exactly
visceral thought.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was me waterboarding myself. It was brought up panic, and like I had no control, and like it just. But it was like waterboarding myself until I could breathe underwater. Like that's the sensation I got from it. But as soon as I tried to recall those memories, even now, right? Honestly, like talking about like the Sam stuff, like my first relationship, one of my first relationships. I have actually had good ones as well, like and like normal ones. But
it hasn't just been a life of pure darkness.
It's just a life of pure darkness. But
I am not straight from a grim fairy tale.
But there's
believe me, please.
A memory of her with like the knife up against my throat was stuck there for quite some time. Now, other than like once when it was when like I had that kind of that experience when I was like had the almost like the demon on my chest. Yeah, it's not come back again. Like it does. Like it used to be every single night.
Yeah.
Every single night without fail, I would have that same problem over and over and over again. Feel like I was there all over again until I did the MDR therapy. There was also quite a few other ones that were really badly stuck. Until I did these 14 sessions, and we took a new memory every single session, and we just kept going. Right. It's the closest thing I found to a magic wand. It's great. You can find some stuff online.
We'll put some of this in the show notes.
Yeah,
as well.
But there is. Honestly, I'm not going to put anything about him. We can put stuff that will explain EMDR, but
that's what I would say.
Get a professional with you because it's a very hard process. Okay, like I would not want to do it alone. I wouldn't wish that on anyone else. Trying to waterboard yourself, and that could be very destabilizing, and it could be very, very bad. Get a professional, speak to somebody about it. You can get some. It's become a lot more prevalent now than it was. I've just with a quick Google. There's like a place that in like Bristol where we are. There could be quite a few places or therapists that do it in your area. It's a very, very useful tool, right? It's nearest thing to a magic wand I've ever found. There is like recovering from CPTSD and PTSD in general is just from like it's the long road, right? And it's not really like you can't get rid of the emotion, right? Well, you can't get rid of what happened to you, right?
Yeah.
You can't, unfortunately, but kind of like if you broke a limb when you were a child, right? You think about it, you knew it hurt at the time, but it doesn't hurt you now, right?
Yeah, completely faded memories.
Yeah, it's not even a faded memory you can bring back, you can recall it, but you can recall it without any pain, right?
Yeah.
You can get to that place. Like, there's also a few things like just there's certain things like there's a grounding technique. I think we've shared this before. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we have.
Like, which is something that can really help you bring you back to the present. Because your brain gets stuck in that past, and starting to take account of the things that are around you. I cannot say enough. It saved my life. Okay, just simple breathing and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's so easy to belittle it, like of just taking a breath or starting to notice things around you. It's so easy to belittle it because it's like, well, that's not going to fucking help, is it? Like, it actually is.
Yeah,
honestly,
sometimes the most simple things are the most effective.
Exactly. Yeah. Other things as well for like distracting yourself. There's or like helping you through these kind of processes. Like running your hands underneath cold water, shocking your kind of system back into place. There's like going for walks, trying to get yourself like just to do something different, something to pattern change, take a shower. Like, there's also for like a longer term recovery, very much like EMDR therapy, there is quite a lot of scientific processes, scientific research into playing things that are kind of almost mindless, like Tetris. Tetris is my care coordinator knows and has met the guy who did all of the the scientific research papers on how PTSD helps with how Tetris helps with PTSD or CPTSD. Really yeah. Now with that can help you with the flashbacks, some of the really traumatic symptoms of PTSD and CPTSD. Now, the things that you're going to need is also therapy, okay? Because especially with CPTSD over long periods of time, those things are going to, having gone through all of that, it creates thought distortions, right? And those thought distortions can then go into, I once was, kind of highlighted that I might have borderline personality disorder. When I was in my early 20s and just after my it can create a lot of different those thought distortions can be vast, from everything from you're completely worthless, you're just going to need to go through the motions of going through the therapy, challenging those negative beliefs about yourself. There's no quick fix, unfortunately. Those things, they will, they need a lot of work and a lot of therapy, and needs a professional, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's certain things for sleep as well. There's an NHS sleeping, or I think it's a stress website as well, how to cope with stress or how to get used with sleeping issues. That app has been for one, I've used it, and also a lot of other people, but some of my dearest and closest people that are close, who have also got complex post-traumatic stress disorder, have used it as well. The overriding thing as well I found is when you're going through all of these things, this is going to sound like I'm a bloody Care Bear, but It is. But the only way through these kind of issues...
the Care Bear.
It is, yeah. The only thing...
Please, someone make fan art of this. That would be fucking hilarious.
But the only way, you know, you can kind of start...
This will be a sticker in the Griffin. Make the fan art. Do it.
It's probably Janie or a few other people that probably be doing this.
Maybe.
Yeah, the person who did our Power Word Heal art. But essentially, like, the only way through all of these kind of things is never with, like, beating yourself up. I beat myself up for years and years, going like,
Same.
I'm not perfect, I'm not lovable, I'm tainted. Like, these almost, I called them like emotional cysts, or like cancers almost. It's like these nasty beliefs about yourself that just go over and over and over again. The only way through them, right, is through self-love. That you've actually got to learn how to love yourself.
Yep. I keep saying that till we're both put in the fucking face.
Yeah,
self-love is the most important thing.
Like, I love the RuPaul quote. You know, if you're like, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? Yeah, that's my... it's me channeling the Queen herself. There's I completely lost track of my thought process. All I can think of that. Hallelujah. Like, gonna testify. Not justify. Boom, 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 boom. And that was the thing I was talking about. There we go. I just needed to get it out. Like, the more and more I'm starting to, like, recover, like, relatively recently from the rest of my life, but is that you've got to become your own parent. Like, when you've not had the best upbringing, or you've not had, like, the best times inside your life, or you've gone through really dark places, you've then got to understand, because you already understand where the bad, like, the trauma and, like, the bad parenting and, like, the ways to hurt yourself, that you've been hurt. Now try and do the opposite. Like, become your own parent and give yourself the care that you deserve. Like, one of a really good, like a fantastic, like, meditation I've done is where this was the start of basically what I'm doing in therapy right now. But the very, very start is to literally close your eyes, place your childhood self in front of yourself, feel all of the things that he's gone through so far, all of the pain that he's gone through, and then give him all of the love, attention, all the things that he's ever needed because of the adult self that you are now, and how just give him everything, or her everything that they've ever needed in that one moment. And it always makes me cry. Because it's always a very, very special moment where you meditate upon that, and then you kind of go, it's like that wish fulfillment, like, gives yourself, and also it helps you to understand where you've come from, how far you've come, and gives yourself the love that you deserve and that you need in that time frame, because it's only yourself that can tell you where you need the love. Like, it is truly a special moment, and then really fucking is. Like, honestly, I would recommend it to anyone. Just close your eyes, place your, like, childhood self in front of yourself, and to give them the love that they've ever needed. And that's kind of like the start of the therapy that I'm going through right now, where, you know, I'm creating, like, I'm starting to just kind of sift through and shovel the shit that's inside my, like, my psyche.
Yeah.
That is probably, like, that's probably the most effective thing I found so far as well. Speak to your therapist. always just get therapy. It's always good.
Mm-hmm.
But
definitely,
I would say, get decent therapy. Make sure that they're the right specialization.
Yeah, make sure they work with you as well.
Yeah,
like as we said earlier, not everyone fits with everyone.
No, and I've had very, very traumatic experiences with bad therapists in the wrong times, and I've recently helped my friend who had a terrible experience with the therapist, and they came out crying, and they were in such a dark place, and I'm he let them leave like that, and I had to jump onto my white horse and go and I literally walked into the office and I screamed bloody murder. I didn't scream. I was very, very forceful. Let's just put it that way. I advocated for my friend fucking hard. like I'd wished that somebody had done for me in that dark place. And good therapy is better than quicker, terrible therapy. I would say that much as well. Find the right space for you, find the right therapist for you, and I think that's about it at the moment. There's several things out there like Psych2Go as well, helps you to kind of understand, and Psych2Go is a really, really good YouTube channel that helped me. She's got a very, very soft voice as well. It's a very, very soft voice. It's very calming. There's also a few things that you can find about abusive relationships. There is Richard Grannon. Richard Grannon is a guy who's been through narcissistic abuse, and then he's made a massive course about it.
Oh yeah, I watched a few of his videos recently, actually.
Yeah, there's also a gentleman I found on Instagram as well that's been really, really helpful. He's Josh_FFW. Talks about a lot of familial issues and just family drama and family trauma, and how to advocate for yourself, kind of going through the whole standing up for your inner child, that kind of stuff as well. There are so many resources out there. Please, it's not my golden rule, but wherever you find something that helps, don't judge where it's come from, really. Just if it helps for you, it helps for you. Great.
Different things help different people.
Exactly.
As we've said in the past.
Oh, definitely. This is from my experience. Please, find your own path. There's you deserve it, and you're also very much you becoming your own and your own parent. You're the only one that can tell yourself where it hurts. There's not a single other person that can know, right? You can tell them, but they don't feel it, right? They don't know it completely. They can kind of they can empathise it from their own perspectives. They can understand it from their own perspectives, and to try and understand yours with, questioning and help and therapy and all the rest of it. But truly, the only person who can go, this is where my boo-boo is, this is how much it hurts, is yourself. And
everyone deserves happiness in this world. This beautiful and sometimes dark and brutal world. Everyone deserves happiness. So
I'm gonna
work at yours.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yes, but also a little dark place inside of me goes, there are some fuckers in this world that really don't. That really don't. I'm gonna it might be controversial, but there are some people in there that just, should going to take a long walk off a short pier.
I mean, but, I'm not going to say I don't agree. Yeah. But let's do a bit of that.
There are so many lovely people that most people do, right? They really do. And even some of those people who have done really bad things also deserve a lot of love. But I wish that as an adaptable thing, not as so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm allowed a little dark place inside myself that thinks that
Everyone is.
That it's been a really, really long episode. It feels for me a very long episode, but I feel like I'm
surprised why it feels incredibly long for you.
Yeah, I feel like I've vomited. It's like a trauma vomit. It's taken me a long time to be able to talk about all of this in such a, hopefully a concise or
you've done very well.
Directed manner.
You have done very well today.
Thank you. I'm extremely proud of myself.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, bro. Didn't make me all emotional right at the end of our episode.
Good. Oh, fuck it.
But thank you ever so much for listening, everybody. And yeah, that's all. Yeah, thank you ever so much for listening, and hope you can take care of yourself. Hope you become your own parent. Hope you just kick some ass, take some names. That's all from us, and that has been.
No, it is not.
It's not.
I have a few little things to say at the end. So, we are getting a load of stickers of our main art made up soon. We should probably have them by the time this episode releases. So, if you see us out and about, we will have stickers with us and acquire the stickers off us. There will also probably be plastered around everywhere we normally go.
On my face, like.
No, don't waste them. Put them on your fucking face.
Constantly on my forehead. Just be like sticker?
Just attack the Griffin in Excelsior and other places we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're also thinking of going to March's Bristol Comic Con together.
Yeah.
And walk around, just chatting to people, giving people stickers out, and we're probably going to see if we can make up some posters for that as well.
That'd be epic.
Maybe some little flyers and things. So that's really cool. Also, we will start doing a few little streams and stuff on our Discord server.
Yeah, we will.
While we wait to acquire a decent capture card so we can start doing things on Twitch and stuff. It's a lot easier to just start up on Discord at the moment.
But we'll be also setting a date, about when me and Sav will just be playing computer games.
Yeah.
You can just come and hang out and just come onto the Discord and, just come and ask us questions or just come and hang out, really. You can talk about your stuff, trauma dump, anything else you need to do. It's just a bit of a safe space for everybody.
Yeah.
If it gets a bit too crowded in there, we might, be like, okay, cool, we're going to make, separate rooms or, all the rest of it. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome to message us, anything else, or just message the us on Facebook or
any of our socials. There's our link tree is everywhere. It's on the Spotify, it's on the YouTube,
it's
on our
Facebook.
Insta, Facebook, everything else. So also just give us a like, share, and give us a comment.
Oh, please do.
Also, if you could rate us on Spotify and leave a comment on YouTube and a like, that would be amazing. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you very much. And this has been Power Gear!